Good evening. I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
Welcome to another edition of Sportslines Plus. We apologize for not being on the last few weeks. I had a family emergency to tend to, and we had technical difficulties 2 weeks ago on the last show. However, we are back.
Yes, we are.
That's the important thing. We
Absolutely.
are back.
Yes,
and
sir.
tonight, we'll be discussing the baseball season, the NCAA tournament, and St. John's basketball, and the Jets and Giants. And maybe a surprise or two.
Hey, that'd be good.
That would be good. If you like what we see, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And the internet address is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. That's the address. The baseball season started on Thursday. The Mets started their season in Houston against the Houston Astros, while the Yankees hosted the Milwaukee Brewers at Yankee Stadium. The Mets so far have split the series at 1 game apiece, winning 3-1 last night and also losing 3-1 Thursday, while the Yankees lead their series 2-0, beating the Brewers 4-2 Thursday and winning today 20-9.
And they got 6 home runs in the game.
Wow.
Aaron Judge hit 3 of them.
We almost would have made Yankee history had he made his fourth.
He would have, and he hit the last out that he hit was a fly ball to the left. He came very close to hitting 4.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Mets play Houston tonight at 7:15 Eastern time. Coming into the season, though, a few things, injuries. Garrett Cole, Yankees ace, is out for the season as he'll have Tommy John surgery. The Mets catcher Francisco Alvarez is out another 4 to 6 weeks to have surgery to remove a fractured bone in his left hand.
It's a hamate bone. That's a very serious bone. That's the bone right in the side near your thumb.
Near your thumb, right?
Yes, it's a big bone in the wrist, and I can only imagine the pain he's gone through the last few weeks.
Indeed. Jeff McNeil is out with an oblique injury and will be missing opening day. Well, he missed opening day.
Yes,
and will be out another 1 to 2 weeks, while Sean Manaea is cleared to throw a follow-up dealing with it after an MRI on his right oblique.
Yes, he'll be back very shortly. So the Mets are pretty well covered with the pitching. Surprisingly,
we'll be talking about that a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and actually, let's get to it. What is your assessment? You were mentioning.
Well, so far, I'll say Clay Holmes, who started opening day, was respectable. He had a decent game, 4 2/3. He gave up 2 earned runs, 3 altogether. He wasn't quite as sharp as he had been in the exhibition games, but we have to remember this is a guy who has not been a starting pitcher for 7 years. He's been a reliever most of his career. He has great stuff. I think as the season goes on, he'll be more consistent and better. And frankly, the first day, it's like the first day of school. You're always nervous and a little uncomfortable.
And then for a new team, and then you're starting after years of relieving.
And the new team happens to be across the river from the team he played for.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the pressure he was under to pitch well. He gave us a good game. The Met lineup that particular day did not hit well. But some of the credit goes to Framber Valdez, who is Houston's ace. He'll be a free agent next year. It'll be interesting to see where he goes if he leaves Houston. But I could tell right from the beginning of the game, the first hitter, Francisco Lindor, hit a bullet to the shortstop. He had to leap up at his highest point and made the catch. The Mets had gotten 2 hits in the inning later on, which probably means they would have scored at least 1 run against Valdez, maybe 2. So it was one of those games that you could say the Mets really didn't get many breaks, and we lost 3-1. But we redeemed ourselves last night.
Yes, they did. And the relief pitching was great.
Yes.
Diaz was sharp as a tack this time.
That was a concern of a number of people who talked about the Mets saying his velocity was down. But he was asked about it last night. He said, once I got in the game, I was revved up, ready to go. I didn't even realize my velocity was less because it was exhibition season. We got terrific pitching last night from Tyler McGill, of all people. This guy, he's 30 years old. He's been in the Met organization, I believe, for the last 6 years. We keep waiting for him to be a star. This is a guy that replaced Jacob deGrom. You may remember that name on opening day, I believe it was 2022, when Jacob deGrom was hurt. He pitched 7 innings of shutout ball. this is a guy we've been waiting on for a long time to emerge.
Yes, indeed.
But last year he started showing signs that maybe he can be consistent. I frankly thought they were going to trade him this year, but he might be getting his act together. He gave us 5 solid innings yesterday and allowed just 1 run and struck out 6. So there is hope for him, but our bullpen, particularly Garrett, who came in to relieve, and Diaz, they did an excellent job of relief pitching last night.
Man, what's it with these 5-inning pitchers? My God.
Yeah.
5 innings. I mean, you're going to be the relief staff. I mean, not just this team, but other teams will be all used up by the All-Star break.
That's the one big difference between pitching now in the 2025 era and the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Most of these pitchers now are groomed to pitch 5-6 innings, and the bullpen takes over.
It's ridiculous.
I'm concerned about that. As much as the Mets are contenders, I believe they need one more starting pitcher to be the ace who can pitch 7-8 innings. And Sandy Alcantara is the name that I'm thinking of, the Florida Marlins pitcher. He is the most consistent pitcher, pitching well into games, 7, 8, 9 innings. Mets could use someone like him. But so far, pitching's been very good.
Oh, by the way, you mentioned Brandon Sproat.
Yes.
What is your assessment of him? People have been talking about been as him as a prospect. What do you think?
I think he's very close to being at the major league level. I saw him a couple of times in spring training. He definitely has the 94, 97 mile an hour fastball. He's got a good slider. He needs a little bit better control of his breaking stuff. But I would say you may hear that name sometime in May or June with the Mets. He's really close. And if he becomes what the Mets hope he'll become, you might be looking at a number 1 or 2 pitcher in the near future.
And what about the Yankees? What do you think? What are their strong points going into the season and the weakest points?
It's interesting watching the Yankees because you figure Garrett Cole's out for the whole year. So now Max Fried, who they signed for an 8-year contract, $218 million
Huge contract
from the Braves.
Yeah.
But the advantage is he has been an ace in the front line. He's pitched for the Braves. And that's a team that's always contending.
Of course.
He's a good left-handed pitcher. He mixes his stuff well. He can throw 96, 97 when he needs to. But he's known for having a really good curveball, good slider, and it's a lot of ground ball outs. He's definitely ace material. I think the Yankees, with all their injuries, can get by, I would say, at least half the year with what they have. Marcus Stroman, who was saying, I'm not going to be a reliever, who was almost off the starting rotation based on what they had because of injuries to Cole and Luis Gil, is their third starter.
They're stuck with him.
Right. But he is a very good major league pitcher.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He's not a guy, years ago he used to throw 92, 93, strike out more hitters. But he's a ground ball pitcher. He hits the corners and his spots and mixes his sinker in with his changeup and breaking stuff. He can still get major league hitters out. So I think the Yankees have a better pitching staff than we believe they have. Their bullpen is supposed to be their strength, and we'll see if it is. Devin Williams, who they acquired from the team they bombed today, Milwaukee, is an excellent closer. He almost got into trouble in Game 1. He got out of the last inning, bases loaded. He had to face Christian Yelich, struck him out with a 3-2 fastball with the bases loaded. He has terrific stuff. But the Mets got to him last year. You'll all remember. Pete Alonso took him out the yard in Milwaukee and left all of us screaming for joy.
Yes, indeed.
So I do think the Yankees are going to be contenders, but the problem is now they have Boston and Toronto to worry about.
And that's what my next question is. How do you think the Yankees and the Mets will do this season?
If you ask me honestly, let's start with the Yankees. I think it's going to be a tight division. I think all 5 teams in that division are going to be close to
American League East,
and that includes Tampa Bay. But I think the Yankees might not come out of this leading the division. I honestly will tell you, I think the Boston Red Sox can win that division.
Red Sox,
yes,
wow!
Because
they've struggled the last year.
But you know what the Red Sox did? They got additions that they needed for years. When they picked up Garrett Crochet, a really good great left-handed pitcher with great stuff, and they took him out of the Chicago White Sox team, a team that produces great pitching, Dylan Cease, Chris Sale, and him. They know pitching. but their team is awful. They lost over 100 games last year.
They lost a record amount of games, but go ahead.
But Garrett Crochet is a pitcher. When he was on the market this offseason, everybody had interest, including the New York Mets.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 26-year-old left-hander who has amazing stuff.
Mm.
He throws fastball 97, 98. He can throw it right by you, has a filthy slider and a changeup. And I don't see anybody banging him around at all.
Mm.
He is an ace. Even though he may not have been thought of as one, I think based on what I've seen of him, I would say the Red Sox got a steal, even though they had to give up a ton of prospects for him.
Yeah.
But I think the Red Sox lineup is lethal.
Mm.
Getting Alex Bregman in that lineup to go with what they already had, I'm talking Rafael Devers, who's now the DH, and Bregman is playing third base.
Mm.
But if you look at that lineup, that is a filthy lineup.
Ooh.
So I will tell you right now, I think that's the team that can win the whole thing in that division.
Mm.
But I think Toronto, and people are going to laugh, Toronto won 78 games last year. They weren't very good. But the acquisition of Max Scherzer, and that name you probably know from the Mets.
Oh, yeah.
If he's healthy this year, they might have the 5 best starters in that division.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the rotation. Berrios, Gausman, Scherzer, Bassett, another former Met.
Yes.
Alex Manoah, who people have forgotten about. He's been out for almost 2 years with injury. He comes back. He may not even be in the rotation.
Mm.
They have 5 starters. And they have a kid named Bowden Francis who almost no-hit the Mets last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team with Vladimir Guerrero, who had a great year last year, with Bo Bichette, and a lineup that is absolutely deadly.
Mm.
Anthony Santander, a steal from the Orioles. What a lineup.
Yeah.
So I think the Yankees might finish third.
Mm. What do you think about the Mets?
I think the Mets could finish second like they did last year. It'll be very tough.
With the Braves.
Yeah, the Braves and the Phillies.
Yeah, and their best player is back.
Yes.
Their best players are back.
Yep. Since Spencer Strider will be starting, I would think, relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
Who won 20 games for them 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They have, and if they can get Ronald Acuna healthy for the season, the lineup will be as lethal as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Mets are going to benefit by them losing AJ Minter.
Okay.
Who is a really good setup man for the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Mets have him as their setup man.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Braves and the Mets are going to be really tightly bunched together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it depends on if the Mets can get a real ace starter.
Oh, yeah.
The Mets have a good pitching staff, but I still believe they need one more pitcher.
Yes, they definitely do. I always felt they definitely do.
To compete with the Phillies and Braves.
Right.
But I would suggest to the New York Mets, by the time we get to the All-Star game, try to get Sandy Alcantara.
Mm-hmm.
He is a lethal starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And as you said, he's not one of these pitchers who goes 5-6 innings.
Mm-mm.
Sandy Alcantara had the most complete games in the National League 2 years ago when he won the Cy Young Award. The Mets need someone like that.
So you figure the Mets will finish second behind the Braves,
Yep.
and the Yankees will finish second behind Red Sox and Toronto?
Yeah, I think Toronto will edge the Yankees out. It won't be like a huge lead. I can see Red Sox maybe winning 90, with Toronto having a tremendous year compared to last year, maybe winning 87, 88, and the Yankees maybe winning 87, 88.
Wow, that's all? That's all he's...
Because these 5 teams are going to take all the wins.
Right.
Tampa Bay's a good team.
And
People sleep on
Orioles,
them.
we haven't
And
mentioned
the
the Orioles.
who have a really good pitching staff, despite all the injuries they have. They lost Corbin Burns in the offseason, but Zach Eflin has been a pretty good starter for them, and they've got to get Grayson Rodriguez back.
Mm-hmm.
He has the stuff of an ace.
Right.
So I think that division is going to be tight,
Uh-huh.
it's almost like the National League East.
Kind of like I would say between each of the teams will probably finish between like 85 and like 92 games.
Yep, I can see that.
And as for the National League East, I mean, I could see Braves, Mets, Phillies.
Or it could be Phillies, Mets, Braves.
Okay, Phillies, Mets, Braves.
They have Zach Wheeler.
Those 3
and he's
teams.
amazing.
Those 3 teams.
Yep.
Because I think it's really those in the National League East. I think it's really those 3 teams.
Yes, but that's going to be a really hellish division.
Yeah.
Because I think all 3 of them have great lineups.
Mm-hmm.
All of them can pitch. All of them have clutch hitters. Phillies might have the starting pitching in the league because they have Zach Wheeler, who I believe can win the Cy Young and will this year. Zach Wheeler, biggest mistake the Mets have ever made in their pitching since Nolan. How Brody Van Wagner, who was the GM at that time, allowed him to go on the free agent market and sign with the Phillies, where his wife is from. So I got news for you. If Steve Cohen had come 1 year earlier, Zach Wheeler would still be a New York Met right now.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
He has emerged into a superstar pitcher. He is one of the top 5 pitchers in the game. And I think the Mets really missed him.
Yeah.
As good as we are with Sean Manaea, and if we can get Kodai Senga healthy, and he looks like he is this year, we have to see what Griffin Canning does. He'll pitch tonight. We have to see if we can get consistency out of McGill. And if we can do that, then the Mets will be competitive. But I really think the Mets would have a chance to win the division, not be second, if they can get the ace starting pitcher. And I'd like to see if David Stearns, and I say this choking as I say it, because I don't like David Stearns' handling of the team, but if he gets me a guy like Alcantara or Dylan Cease at the All-Star break, the Mets could win the division.
Yeah. Moving on to college basketball, the NCAA tournament moves on. We are down to the Elite Eight. Texas Tech plays Florida and Alabama plays Duke tonight, while Michigan State plays Auburn and Tennessee plays Houston tomorrow. Unfortunately, the St. John's Red Storm will not be there, as the Johnnies were defeated by the Arkansas Razorbacks, coached by John Calipari, 75-66 last Saturday. This was their first trip to the tournament since 2019. By the way, though, Arkansas got beaten by Texas Tech 85-83 on Thursday.
In overtime. I was just about to say, for those of us who are rooting for St. John's, while our team is gone from the postseason, we got our enjoyment the following week.
Yes, we did.
Arkansas had a tough loss to Texas Tech. They're a very similar team to St. John's, except they hit their foul shots and rebound the ball much better than St. John's does.
Did the other day. Right. Yes, indeed.
But they got paid back this Thursday night. Texas Tech is nobody to play with. They're a very good team, and they could possibly pull off an upset in the next round.
Like I said, they're playing Florida tonight, who beat the Maryland Terrapins the other night.
And that was a spirited event.
Yeah.
We had the pleasure of going to a basic party at the place in the city.
Mustang Harry's.
With
a friend,
Right, with a friend who was an alumnus of Maryland.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy environment.
Yes,
Maryland Terps fans are terrific.
Yeah.
I rooted for them the other night, as my friend did, because our teams were out of the tournament.
Yeah.
And although they lost, I will say right now, if Maryland can keep their star guard, Derek Queen, one more year and develop around him, they might be in the top 4 next year. They're a very good team. Derek Queen, I will say right now, and I've said it to my friend Jason, I said he is NBA material right now. He needs a little bit more shooting ability from farther distances, but he handles the ball beautifully. He can shoot. He hits his foul shots. He plays like a pro. He's very close to being that.
Yeah. By the way, with the Johnnies going to the NCAA tournament, going back to St. John's, St. John's was the 6th different team Rick Pitino has taken to the NCAA tournament. 6 teams.
Wow.
The other 5 being Boston University, Providence, Kentucky, Louisville, and Iona.
Yes. Rick Pitino, in all fairness to him, I've had time to assess this a little bit more. Rick Pitino, in the last 2 years, has won over 50 games with St. John's. Yeah. That's a major accomplishment. This team was pretty much invisible for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And he's brought them back to the map and brought respectability to St. John's. But what he has to do now, he has got to find offensive players. Yeah. This is an excellent defensive team. They finished 3rd in the NCAA in defense. But what you learn about the NCAA is that what works in the Big East tournament does not work in the NCAA tournament.
No.
Because you need to have shooters that can score, you need to hit your foul shots, and you need to make sure you hit your layups when they come. And I think
and rebound better.
Right. I think if Rick Pitino, and I trust his abilities as a coach, I think if Rick Pitino does his homework, and I'm talking about doing a super job of recruiting and maybe even going overseas to do it as he has done, if he can find 3 to 4 offensive players or two-way players, then St. John's next season might get to the Final Four. I don't know what the status is with R.J. Lewis, who is their best player. He may be going pro. They have another guy they acquired from Kansas last year who's very good. I think he's got another year with them, but they have to develop an offense they can trust. Their defense is absolutely terrific. But next season, I think St. John's will be heard from again. Only this time they might get into the Final Four.
Interesting. What do you think of the rest of the tournament so far? I know we talked about Maryland the other night, and we talked about some of the other teams.
It's been very interesting. Right now, I'm probably the most impressed with two teams. Florida, who has almost a pro-style offense.
Yeah.
They have amazing three-point shooters. All those guys can shoot. And they remind me a little bit, dare I say, like a miniature version, of the Boston Celtics. You know how Boston has 10 guys who can all shoot? That's what that team has. They are a dangerous, lethal team. They play good defense, but their offense is absolutely crazy good. And the other team that I'm impressed with, I have to say, and it's a team I don't like at all, and my friend here doesn't either, it's the Duke Blue Devils. Now, part of the reason I'm watching that team is because they have a guy who they think will be the #1 pick in the draft. His name is Cooper Flagg. He is a center. He can shoot. He's a good rebounder and a good passer. I don't think I would draft him #1. I don't. I think he needs to bulk up and get stronger and more physical. But what he does do well, he does extremely well. And I can see why NBA scouts like him. He's young. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of natural ability because when you watch Duke, they beat you at the foul line.
Yeah.
They probably are the most clutch team on the foul line I've seen in years. Every year I've seen Duke, no matter whether they have Grant Hill or they have somebody else, that's a team that pays attention to details better probably than any other team in the NCAA.
Sort of pretty much like the Krzyzewski mystique.
Yes, the mystique is right. John Schroyer, who is their coach now, played for them, has taught them to play in a similar style to Krzyzewski. And they have amazing players under pressure. So I don't know how far they're going to go, but I think they have a chance to win the championship because of their attention to detail. But if you're going to ask me which team has the most talent, I would say there are two teams in the tournament that do. Florida is one of them. They're really, really good. And I would love to see, and maybe most people don't care, but I'd like to see Houston finally get to the title. They have been very close the last 4 or 5 years.
I think you picked Houston to win.
I did. If I were in the pool right now, that was my team to pick for the finals. I think Tennessee, the Volunteers that are going to play in this round, will give them the most trouble they've had in this series. But I trust Houston. They have a great defense and a really good coach in Kelvin Sampson, who's even been in the NBA as an assistant coach. This is a man whose team has been in the tournament probably the last 5-6 years. They've come very close to winning it all, and this might be their time.
Okay. Moving on from college basketball to the gridiron. There was a lot of quarterback action from both the local teams. As for the Jets, they officially moved on from Aaron Rodgers and signed Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million contract, $30 million guaranteed.
Yes.
And they also signed Tyrod Taylor, who mostly played for the Giants in the 2023 season. And of course, with the Giants, they not only got one quarterback, but one veteran quarterback, but two veteran quarterbacks. Right. Sounds like an old Search commercial. Two mints and run.
I remember that commercial.
They have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Right. Wilson started for the Steelers last season, while Winston was with the Cleveland Browns. First going with the Jets. Do you think? Now, this is the $98,000 question here.
Okay.
Do you think Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor can make it with the Jets, where so many other quarterbacks have struggled so much in the past?
Let me start with Tyrod Taylor. This is a guy in his career who has always been the second fiddle. He was second fiddle when the Buffalo Bills had drafted Josh Allen. He was second fiddle again when he joined the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. He was second fiddle another time when they had Zach Wilson. This is a good NFL quarterback. To me, this is a guy who should have been starting years ago. He's not going to, again, he's going to be the backup to Fields, but he is a more than serviceable backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem I've ever had with him as a quarterback is he gets injured a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why he's not started for most teams. But I think he's a very strong backup, very capable of running the offense and experienced, and I've always liked his abilities. So I like the fact that he's still with the Jets as an emergency second quarterback. I have questions about Justin Fields, partly because I've heard he doesn't have a strong arm, and partly because the game seems to move a little too quickly for him at the NFL level.
Mm-hmm.
But what he does have is running ability, and that's something the Jets are talking about now. They want to be known as a running team, not as a passing team. This is where Justin
diversifies.
Fields, this is where Justin Fields can help them, because a lot of teams now in the league are passing teams.
Right.
Kansas City, I would say certainly the Los Angeles Chargers. There are a lot of teams that rely on throwing the ball. The Miami Dolphins, but the Jets want to be pound and ground.
Yeah, right. And it makes sense to diversify.
Yes.
This way you keep defenses guessing.
Right. And Justin Fields is a good passer in the intermediate game.
Yeah.
So you would say most of what he'll do would be 15, 20-yard passes, which is what I would call serviceable passing.
Sounds like Chad Pennington. His great at quarterback. Yeah. We love Chad Pennington.
Oh, I did.
But he was like, he always did the slow pass, the 10, 15-yard.
Well, the one thing Chad Pennington did very well, he was an accurate passer.
Yes.
The most accurate passer in the NFL, I believe, was 70%. But what Chad Pennington did, which I have not seen in years in the Jets, he would usually start the game with a 70-yard bomb. So when's the last time you've seen the Jet quarterbacks do that? It's in ancient times.
Yeah.
Chad Pennington, outside of Joe Namath, for me, was my favorite Jets quarterback.
Yeah, I liked him. I really
very intelligent, ran the offense beautifully, had the arm, threw the ball accurately. Yeah, he wasn't the fastest guy behind the pocket, but when he had to run, he could do some of it.
Yeah.
Now, Justin Fields has better ability than Pennington to run. That may help their offense, because if he's like another running back in the offense, that will open up their passing game a little bit more.
Yeah.
I have to see now what the Jets are going to do for another wide receiver. We all like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
It looks like he's back to being the number one receiver. Davante Adams left the Jets and went to another team, I believe the Raiders. So now, what are the Jets going to have as their second wide receiver? Are they going to draft a tight end? This is a very good tight end who might be drafted at number 7 where the Jets are. I believe his last name is Warren.
Yeah.
He is a star tight end. The Jets have not had one in years. They need one of those now.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them draft a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them draft another young quarterback. Because while you have Fields, he's only signed for 2 years.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor is getting older. He probably won't be here beyond 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
And there are some that I would like. There's one guy, Will Howard, who played at Ohio State. He might be drafted in the 2nd, 3rd, maybe 4th round. I think he would be worth looking at. I do think of the name we've been hearing a lot from the Giants, Shakur Sanders. If the Giants pass on him, the Jets should snatch this guy up.
Yeah. And speaking of the Giants, do you think – now I know Russell Wilson's actually is going to start next season.
Yes, he is.
He will start for the Giants, and he's actually the first black quarterback for start a game for the Giants.
And we should preface that by saying there was one other one, but he only started one game.
Geno Smith.
That's correct.
But he's the first quarterback to start a season.
Yes.
To start the season with the Giants. That's Russell Wilson.
I have something to add to that. Right now in New York City, based on the quarterbacks that are here, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and Jameis Winston, if the Jets draft another quarterback and it happens to be Shakur Sanders, this will be the first time in New York history for football that the Jets and Giants will have at least two black quarterbacks, possibly three. That could be the whole deal for both sides.
Yeah.
Have all black quarterbacks. And that could happen.
Yeah.
That could happen. And for the Giants, let me say this, that would be historic for them.
Yeah.
They have never started a black quarterback in their history except for Geno Smith until now.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have thought like I have for years, which is there are 13 teams in the league that have never started a black quarterback, you can scratch the Giants off of that list. Amen.
Amen. Now, with the Giants, you mentioning them drafting a quarterback. I know the Giants need so much help in so many areas.
They do.
I mean, they need an offensive line.
Yes.
They need some defense here and there.
The Giants are a team that normally when you draft a quarterback or you acquire them, you figure those are the final pieces. But not with the Giants. There is so much help that this team needs. There's a rumor that Travis Hunter, a great safety who played at Colorado State, who can also play wide receiver, might be drafted third. So that means the Giants would not draft another quarterback. However, if they choose to draft one, the Jets might get Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter is a star right now. So the Giants have a very tough decision. Do they get a quarterback who might be ready to play 2-3 years down the road in Shakur Sanders, or do they draft a more sure player in Travis Hunter where they really need help in the secondary? And he could be a wide receiver threat to go with who they have now. Tough question for the Giants.
Yes, indeed.
But their owner, John Mara, has said, this is the year I want to win. Well, guess what? Your team was horrible last year. You won 3 games last year. I don't see you beating the Eagles. I don't see you getting past the Commanders. And even the Cowboys will probably be around 500. So I would say to John Mara right now, if you're trying to win 7 or 8 games, you better get the best athletes you can. Because Daboll, the head coach, and Shane will both be fired after this season or in the middle of the season if they don't get major improvement.
That's for sure. A shout out to one of the greatest Knick players of all time. Happy birthday to Walt Clyde Frazier on his 80th birthday. Happy birthday.
Well, we've had the pleasure of meeting Walt Frazier.
Yes, we did.
And we were at the Nets-Knicks game. I know you
at the Garden.
Yes.
The Garden.
Game
This was
4.
2004 against the Nets. Unfortunately, they got swept.
Right. They got swept. But that night, it was raining outside, slightly raining. And Walt Frazier, we was waiting for his car to come. And we saw him outside the building. There were about 100 people outside the building. And we were the lucky ones, along with everybody else, who got a signed autograph from him. I still have it. Walt Frazier, to me, is always going to be my favorite.
I have mine too.
He is an awesome human being. His rhymes and his wording on the air is flawless. It's different. It's unique. It's
swishing and dishing.
Swishing and dishing. My favorite one is dancing and prancing on the perimeter.
Dancing and prancing.
That is awesome. Clyde has his own language, and it works for him. And let me tell you, nobody dresses better than Clyde. Clyde Frazier is a man of his own completely when it comes to dressing. There are things that he wears that I would tell you I would never wear, but they look great on him.
And he's the first person I've ever seen wear an ascot.
Yes. Clyde Frazier sets his own standard, and he is a genuinely great human being. I don't think there's any Knick fan that can't say they don't like him. He had his own restaurant in the city. For those of you who had been to that was a terrific restaurant on 10th Avenue and 37th Street. I still wish it were here. But Clyde Frazier has always been my favorite Knick, and he probably always will be. Same here.
For Steve Ferguson, I'm Pedro Hazel Jr. saying thanks for joining us. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button The internet address is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. Have a good day, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, guys. Go New York. Go New York. Go.